we have to talk about the Cowboys. I watched every snap of this Cowboys-Eagles game last night, and it was atrocious, but it was interesting. But Jalen, what do you think the biggest problem for the Cowboys, not just last night, but moving forward right now is?
Well, we're going to cover them because they're still considered America's team. But, Jacoby, trust me, our supporters appreciate the fact that we don't troll the Cowboys or the Lakers for topics. What do I think the next thing for the Cowboys is something I've been saying since the beginning of the year. The only way to pay Dak is to trade Zeke. When you look at how this team has now formed itself offensively, you would love to get from under Amari and or Zeke's contracts. The problem is they're going to be really tough to do. That's the only way you can do a makeover offensively. Lawrence has actually been good defensively and still ranks as one of the top at what he does. So if you're going to change your offensive dynamic with a high-paid offensive line, plus take care of Dak, you're going to have to figure something to do with Amari and or Zeke. Has Zeke had 100 yards this year? Has Zeke had 100 yards this year?
Not only that, Jalen, is you would think with Ben DiNucci starting the game that Zeke would get more than 19 attempts. Since week 2, he has not had 20 attempts from the line of scrimmage. A lot of it going to Pollard. But if you have Zeke and you're paying him that, you should probably hand him the ball, especially when your quarterback was a star at James Madison University. Shout to him with the sidearm, though. He's like Dan Quisenberry out there. DiNucci was just like doing it out there. Well, moving on to a game that featured two good teams, not like the one we were just discussing. We have the 49ers and the Seahawks. The Seahawks making light work of the 49ers and Russell Wilson, 4 touchdowns, doing it so easily. What do you think of Russell and DK Metcalf's connection?
First and foremost, the 49ers have dealt with massive injuries. Anytime Bosa gets injured, that's like a team losing a franchise quarterback. But I will say this, with him and Sherman being out, that team clearly has suffered a Super Bowl hangover. And the Seahawks were there and ready to pounce. DK Metcalf catching everything thrown his way, 2 TD passes. Russell Wilson, more TD passes at this point of the season than any quarterback in the history of the game. They look ferocious. Adams and Wagner, 2 of the best at either level in the league. They have pass rushing. They have coaching. I can't wait to see this team, the Buccaneers, the Saints potentially if healthy. I feel those are the squads that are jockeying to see who's going to come out of the NFC.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Buccaneers because Tom Brady of the Buccaneers actually has had one more touchdown pass through 7 games than Russell Wilson, but that is how close Russell Wilson is to the elite status. You know, you're not the only one that does research. Not the only one that does research for this, Jalen Rose. And one thing I want to look at, because I'm a media guy and I like to overreact to things, and are we sure that Jimmy G is the future of the 49ers at quarterback? Now, granted, he went out and he was injured. He's been dealing with an ankle sprain, but he was 11 for 16 with 84 yards through 3 quarters. All of a sudden, Nick Mullins comes in. Now, I know he's playing against a prevent defense and it was kind of garbage time or whatever, but Nick Mullins comes in and, I don't know, he just went 18 for 25 for 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. And when you look at a salary cap sport, at the difference in performance and the difference in salary, you have to wonder if Jimmy G is long for San Francisco. Jalen, staying with the top teams in the NFC, we have to discuss what's happening in your Lions division. It is the Vikings coming into the game against the Packers with 1 win. This is going to be a blowout, right? The Packers are going to blow them out, right? Well, Dalvin Cook had something to say about that. What do you think about Cook cooking?
I just want to make sure I always acknowledge bad losses. And I think the Titans, the Rams, and the Packers each had bad losses based on the teams they were facing and how they looked going into the weekend. Shout to Dalvin Cook, who scored 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns, the most in a game since, Bobby Moore, Ahmad Rashad, the guy that's a trailblazer in multimedia, the former football player who also covered the NBA forever and knocked down barriers for people that look like me to talk about multiple sports on television. This is why you come to Jalen and Jacoby. Last week we gave you Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu. This week we giving you the vintage footage. We giving you the Gale Sayers. We give the people what they want. Shout to the OG Ahmad.
We've discussed the undefeated Steelers. We've discussed Lamar Jackson. We've already given Russell Wilson the MVP. But quietly, a gentleman by the name of wait, I have a question. Where are my homies?
Where are my homies?
Patrick Mahomes. Oh, he just came out and threw 5 passing touchdowns. No big deal. Spreading the ball around to everybody. He carried Tyreek Hill on his back literally during this game. Is Mahomes playing his way back into the MVP conversation?
Eric B. for president. All I know is this. There better be teams lining up to take Bieniemy away from the Kansas City Chiefs so that the Chiefs have to give him a blank check to stay. Because they having way too much fun. It's Hardman. It's Robinson. It's Hill. It's Kelsey. It's Mahomes under center. Spreading the football around, making it look easy. Oh, that's right. Who are they playing? Oh, the Jets. They'll do that to you as well. The Jets will do that to you.
The Jets will make Ben DiNucci look like an all-pro quarterback. When we come back, we're going to show you a knockout that you will not believe, something you haven't seen since the days of Tyson. Stay tuned to see that. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby. Joke about how you will never be in Springfield in the Hall of Fame, but you were recognized by the Hall of Fame just a couple years ago. So salute to you and all your efforts that actually got you in Springfield through the back door. Moving on to the Saints and Bears game. This one was frankly closer than it should have been, but ultimately it was Alvin Kamara who ran and caught and gained the Saints to the victory. What did you think about Kamara's big day?
He just glides. And for you young football fans out there, this is shades of Gale Sayers. And of course, he's not doing it in the return game like Gale. But man, when he gets the football in his hands, don't it just look like he's smoother and faster than everyone else, Jacoby?
Yes.
Can run it between the tackles. He's a terrific receiver coming out of the backfield and playing without Michael Thomas, playing without Emmanuel Sanders. Drew Brees can continue to use this guy as a dual threat and propel them to victory against a tough defense like the Chicago Bears.
Kamara has 55 receptions through 7 games, which according to the last is the most for a running back in the history of the NFL since the merger. Very impressive from him. One thing I do want to mention